Yeah, Mare.
Welcome everybody. Welcome Dr. Madhumita Ram. Thanks for accepting our invitation to talk to us this evening. First, to put the context to this is part of the larger RECAL, that's our REC Global Alumni Association's initiative to support the larger REC family overcome these trying times. So we're doing a few things there. We are supporting the college with an oxygen generator project. We're sponsoring it. We are supplying oxygen concentrators to the college. At the college, we're trying to help students whose parents either passed away or lost their livelihoods in financially. And we're going to help all members or the non-permanent employees of the establishments within college who have lost their livelihoods with some kind of support. On the alumni side, what we're doing is that we are, for the families of deceased, we're giving them an ex gratia payment of 2 lakhs and possibly follow it up with support to the spouse's livelihood in terms of a job or children's education. We're giving 50,000 ex gratia grant, one-time grant to critically ill alumni. And finally, what we're doing today is what we call the positivity series. Last week, we had a session on breathing, and today we have the good fortune of having an infectious disease expert, Dr. Madhumita Ram, going to speak to us and clear a lot of our doubts. Before I get headlong into the formal introduction of Dr. Madhumita Ram, I just want to narrate an incident which kind of made me think of this initiative in this way, basically. A few weeks back, I was unwell and I spoke to my family doctor, Dr. J.R. Subramaniam, and he said, in this course of things, just take a paracetamol for a couple of days and test yourself. I tested negative, but I lost my smell the next day, tested negative again. Then he referred me, he said to Dr. Madhumita, who used to work with him in Apollo, and said, you should talk to her. So the first consultation was on the phone, and she asked me for a few symptoms and gave me a paracetamol, which immediately arrested my temperature, and asked me to do a few tests and meet her on Monday. So Monday morning, I took the CT and went there. The report looked very scary, and the reports also didn't look too good. I was very, very worried. So I reached the clinic around 1:20. She'd asked me to come to at 1:30, and that she said the crowd would be a little thinner. So I went and filled in a form there, and I said, I have an appointment around 1:30. Can I go in next? To which the lady said, sir, 14 people are waiting before you. Okay. So to which I said that, no, I have an appointment. I sent word, and fortunately, within the next few minutes, I got to meet her, and she asked for the report, and I had it on my mobile. I was very anxious to know what it was about. The only thing she reacted was, no need to panic. Okay, she said, no need to panic, and she said, just stay isolated a few more days. You've crossed the critical part of the illness, and you can go home and isolate yourself. I came back, and after my recovery, as we started planning this, and one thing you should note, in that place, everybody was double masked and had a visor and meant 6 feet distance. Even a patient, normally the doctor examines with 6 feet apart from the doctor. So few things struck me that day. Now at 1:30, if I had 14 patients after me that day, and I understood later that she does tele consultation later in the evening also, I would imagine she talks to and interacts with maybe 40 to 50 patients a day. I don't know if the number is right, maybe 30 to 40 patients a day. And combine it over the last few months, she must have met a few thousand patients at least. Such rich experience with, and such positivity, we needed her to share that with us. And the fact that she said, do not panic itself struck a chord in me, because most of us are worried all the time, and we have so much information overload around us, and a lot of information is inaccurate. Rather than break our heads over and keep worrying, I thought it would be good for somebody like Dr. Madhumita Ram, who's an infectious disease expert, to address us today. Okay, we're really fortunate. Thank you for accepting an offer, Dr. Madhumita. I think you're going to, at the end of this day, you're going to leave a lot of clear minds, at least, hopefully.
Certainly.
Thank you. Okay, on to the formal part of the education. She did MBBS in Bombay, and she moved to Chennai, where she completed her postgraduate and fellowship in medicine and fellowship in infectious disease in Apollo Hospital. All through this, she was a gold medalist in forensic medicine and in microbiology. And here, she was the best outgoing student, got the Dr. Harnath Award here. So she's been very good academically as well. And of course, she did, while during internship, her observership was in Wayne State University in Detroit. She's published widely across the world, including India. She's participated in conferences across the world, and her passion is ethical medicine. I think she was part or is part of an NGO which talks about antibiotic use. I can vouch for that personally because I told her after my treatment what I liked most was she treated me this entire thing with just paracetamol. Okay, so I think what she means by ethical practice, I understand like that maybe she has a different interpretation to it. On the whole, I thought somebody like this would be the perfect person to talk to the REC family, friends, and larger family and clear our minds and make us feel less worried at the end of it, if not anything else. Before I hand over to Dr. Madhumita, I just want to say that all of us, either through clapping and whatever way, should salute Dr. Madhumita, her medical fraternity, and all the medical professionals who are putting themselves at risk and not worrying about their safety and protecting all our lives. Nothing less than the army, I would say, in these circumstances. Thank you, Dr. Madhumita, and your medical fraternity.
Thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Madhumita. All yours now. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mali, for that wonderful introduction. And it's lovely to know that your alumni is doing much more than what I am doing sitting in one place. You are also a big helper to the larger part of the community. And how do I share my slides? So I was supposed to be...
Vani?
Yeah, you're the host, ma'am, now. You can share.
Okay. One.
It's always better to get generation next into it.
Okay, so am I audible and my slides are visible?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, namaste and vanakkam. I just wanted to talk about the second wave because I'm sure the first wave, we've crossed it. I wanted to start with this quote from Kenneth. In a world that is constantly changing, it is to our advantage to learn how to take advantage and enjoy something better, adapt and enjoy something better. Why? Because all these kind of meetings earlier used to happen in person and now we are all virtually meeting. It's so nice to know that, we are still connected despite our social distancing all across the globe. So that's something to enjoy, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So let me begin with this scoreboard. I'm sure many of us are from India and we're seeing India in something second in the race, but this is not for power or economy. It is in the COVID race. So we are almost the second world leaders in COVID cases. And you can see the number of cases that are there, about 2.6 crores in the last 1.5 years. And the cumulative death is just 2 lakhs. This is something that I want to stress on. We always talk about, the media just hypes about the number of deaths, but just imagine the number of people who have been cured actually. So none of the media projects the number of people cured. They always project the number of deaths, which is less than 1% of the total population. Why did the second wave happen? Probably because of our pandemic fatigue. Most of us were bored, sitting at home. And when the government relaxed the rules, we took it to our advantage. We started moving out. We behaved as though nothing ever happened, despite getting information that the other part of the world is going through a second wave. We continued to travel. And as we know, or because of these travel, we've had a lot of variants, the corona mutating and a lot of variants coming into circulation and our own vaccine hesitancy. So in this group, I just wanted to know how many of you have taken your vaccine? Can we have a hands up on the chart so that at the end I can calculate how many of you have taken both your doses of vaccine? A small thing about the second wave variant. Viruses, we all know, and coronavirus is one of the largest, has one of the largest genomes, and the repairing enzymes still mutate, especially when the force of transmission is very high. This leads to different clades, lineages of the virus. multiple mutations cause variant. So that is why you would have heard many numbers in the news, B1.617, which is the common variant that was first identified in India. Now, even this variant has 3 lineage, 3 different types, and there are 3 different types circulating all over the world. So what happens in the second wave? Was the clinical presentation different from the earlier wave? The ICMR says that, yes, there are the same symptoms, cough and fever, sore throat, but we do see a lot of people presenting with breathlessness even before other symptoms appear. And GI symptoms like nausea, vomiting, loose stools are very commonly reported in the second wave. Second worry, this was flouted lots in the media. Are the new strains not being detected by the RT-PCR? ICMR says, don't worry about it. We detect 2 genes. So one of the gene will be detected on the RT-PCR. So if your RT-PCR is positive, probably you are dealing with a new variant also. And in the second wave, is the second wave caused by a new strain? Yes, as I described, it is a B1.617, which is a new strain, which is causing this large second wave. And right now, around 66% of all sample tested is because of this mutated gene all over the world. And on May 10th, WHO declared this variant as a variant of global concern. I'm just skipping that slide. I think there was some problem. So again, going back to this scoreboard. So we have 2.6 crores of cases that in the last 1.5 years. And you see the number who have recovered, 2.27 crores. What did they receive? I'm sure nothing but paracetamol. And Mali, as he described, there was no fancy drug on his prescription. Just rest, paracetamol, and plenty of fluids does wonders. Second thing is we always go into this panic mode. The panic button is always on. The minute you're COVID positive, the panic button is on. The minute your panic button goes on, the common sense button goes off. And that's why the most of the trouble. We hear a lot of death. You know, every day the news flashes. India has reached the largest number of single day death. Today's death was 4,000. Fine, if there are so many people who are getting infected, the number of death will definitely be high. But none of them project this number. That's what saddens me. So this is one slide from WHO, which gives you the entire graph that has happened since the pandemic started. So in June, July, we peaked last year. Just look at that peak. It's so small. And the number of deaths were also small. So when your peak is so high, obviously the number of deaths are going to be high, isn't it? With the population this high, the crude fatality rate is just 1%. So 1% of your population died because of COVID. There's another very big concern, whether the younger people are more affected this year. Again, the same statements hold true. If the number of people getting infected are high, obviously the number of younger individuals will also be high. It will be reflected as high, but it is not that especially these younger people are infected. So the ICMR still says that less than 30 was 31 in the first pandemic, and it is 32 in the second pandemic. So a short thing about this was basically to give you an idea of the magnitude of the problem. We all talk about if you get COVID is a death sentence. No, it is not a death sentence. Do not panic. There are a lot of people who have recovered. So you may also recover with proper therapy. So what do you need to do? If you have any symptoms, because we do not know what are the typical symptoms of COVID. Anything, any fever, running nose, cold, cough, loose stools, vomiting, anything that is unusual, please isolate yourself first so that you don't spread it to the others in the family. Can we just mute it? I think there's a lot of disturbance. I'm sorry.
Vani, can you mute the rest? Vani, can you mute the rest?
Yes, sir, I'll do. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what, the minute you think that you have an abnormal symptom, I would say isolate yourself, stay separate, watch your symptoms. If they continue to persist the next day or the day after, please get tested for COVID. Because by the time we realize that, yes, something is wrong, we have spread to the entire family. And this variant, B1.617, is definitely more infectious than the COVID that we had in the first pandemic. So by the time you realize that you are COVID positive and trying to isolate after you test positive, you have spread the disease among the entire family. So that's why I see the entire family coming up for, follow-up and treatment. Second thing, when you have such symptoms, you are not able to reach your doctor. It's not that you've tested positive, the next minute you need to meet the doctor. Just stay at home, take paracetamol, plenty of fluids, and start monitoring your symptoms. Yes, you need to meet a doctor, be on an online portal or in person. You need to get your doctor to follow you up and advise you on further management. I don't believe in doing multiple tests without seeing the doctor, because right now when patients come to me, they have a panel of tests before me, even before I ask them. All these reports just confuse the picture, especially all these CRPs, D-dimers, IL-6, when they are not indicated, do not do them. All this knowledge gained from WhatsApp University just confuses patients. So please do not do. A mild disease is defined as somebody who is COVID positive and his oxygen saturation is above 95%. So as long as your oxygen saturation is above 95%, I would say stay home. Even if you have fever for 5 days, 6 days, just stay home. Hydrate yourself, take paracetamol. That is what you need to do. And your monitoring should be every 4th hourly. And every 4th hourly, if you see there is a drop in saturation, it comes to 95 to 94. One reading is 94, again, the panic board goes on. No, don't get panicked. Just wait, recheck your oxygen saturation in 30 minutes time and check if it's persistently below 95. That's when you need to press the call button to the hospital. Identify a bed and get admitted. Until then, I don't think you need to. Every positive case does not need admission. The remaining treatment part, I don't want to discuss on a slide. If you have any doubt, we'll interact on that. Second, moving on to the vaccine. It's so funny, we thought vaccine is going to, save us from everything. So we wanted the vaccine as soon as possible. Once the vaccine was ready, there were so many messages about the vaccine. We did not trust that vaccine, and there was so much vaccine hesitancy. None of them came forward to take the vaccine. Now, when we are in a second pandemic, everybody wants the vaccine. And unfortunately, we don't have stock of vaccine. And that's more frustrating than what the COVID is. Vaccine efficacy, if you see, I just want you to look into this, the last column, efficacy against death. All vaccines prevented death, be it your Pfizer, Moderna, or Covishield, Covaxin in India. All of them prevented death. So any vaccine that is available, please take it. And if you have not taken it so far, I think it's the right time to go and take it. This is another confusing slide. Timing of vaccine after COVID. We have taken our first shot, went to take the second shot. Between the second shot, we have got COVID. The government guidelines, recent government guidelines, which was released a couple of days back, says that you have to defer it by 3 months. Covaxin, if it's in the case of Covishield, and if it's Covaxin, we still don't have any clear-cut guidelines. So we wait for that 4 to 8 weeks after recovery and take the vaccine. You've not taken the vaccine and you've got COVID, sorry, you will have to wait another 3 months to take the vaccine. Post-vaccine advice. It's about the Peltzman effect. I'm sure this crowd would know about Sam Peltzman, who was who was from Boston Business School, Chicago, I think. Yeah. So he spoke about risk stratification. So the minute you think that risk compensation, the minute you think you are more careful, you sense greater risk. You're more careful when you sense greater risk and less careful if they feel protected. That is how we've been behaving. The minute we got our vaccine, we thought that we have Arjuna Kavacham and Kundalam, and we thought that Corona is not going to affect us. Unfortunately, COVID will affect you if you do not wear your mask or maintain social distancing. But what it can do, the vaccine can prevent the severity of the illness. It will never prevent you from not getting the virus. It will prevent the severity of the illness. So even after your vaccine, you need to distance yourself, maintain the social distancing, mask and sanitize. Social distancing means do not go in a large gathering in a closed environment. We right now feel that the COVID is more airborne than earlier what it was postulated to be circulating on surfaces and things like that. So it is airborne. So that means it can spread in a closed room even beyond 6 feet. So in an open area, 6 feet distancing is fine. But if you're going to stay in a closed area, in an AC room, and 100 people are gathering, it is going to cause trouble. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was this. This is my favorite slide. Newton's fourth law. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, plus a social media overaction. So if you see this, India Today presented a news saying that 37 doctors of Gangaram Hospital test COVID positive. All 37 COVID positive doctors were vaccinated. So what impression does it give you? It just gives you, yes, if I take vaccine also, COVID will not prevent. I mean, COVID will still affect. Why should I take the vaccine? This is the impression that it created in people's mind. But the actual news behind that, if you see, there were 500 doctors, of whom 37 tested positive after vaccination. And of the 37, only 5 were admitted in the hospital because they did have some comorbidities. And of this 5, none of them had severe illness. There's so much more behind this news, but media would just sensationalize everything in a different way. This is what I want you to spread. Let's flatten the infodemic curve. If one of you stop reacting to the WhatsApp forward that you received, imagine the effect. You can prevent so many people from, gathering unwanted knowledge. So always double check the facts. All that you receive on WhatsApp is not true. All that you see on media is not true. If you ask me when was the last time I checked into TV or any of the social media, was way back when Italy had its first wave, when the military was transferring the dead bodies. I said, this is end of it. I will not watch any news channel. It doesn't give me any positive feeling. I don't need to know who is dying. I will try to save myself. I will follow what the government says. The 3 SMS. Social distancing, masking, sanitize. Do this. Stay safe. The only religion of mankind is and always has been hope. So let's learn to live with Corona. And my simple take-home message is, please delete WhatsApp. And I'm done with it and open. We can open for questions.
So we have the first couple of questions, Doctor. The first person is Hansa wants to know, is it possible that new variants are emerging from or because of vaccination? So that's one question.
Can we exit the screen share, please?
No, I'll just go back to one of the slide in this. So I did mention over here saying that it's survival of the fittest. So you do anything or you don't do anything, all these viruses are going to mutate. So the vaccine doesn't cause the mutation. It's basically the virus wants to survive. So it is going to mutate even without the vaccine. And if you look into the past pandemics, I think we can now stop this screen sharing. Yeah. So, so if you look into the past pandemics that we have had, we didn't have vaccine at that time. It did still happen. So if you go to the Spanish flu, it lasted for over 10 years. So, and we had like some 4 waves before it settled down to become an endemic disease. So vaccine is not the cause for the mutation. The virus mutates naturally.
Okay, so when do you, looking at your crystal ball and from your perch, when do you see this pandemic diluting itself to an endemic? Where do you see, based on WHO guidelines, and what is your crystal ball?
Either the 85% of the population should have herd immunity or should have been vaccinated. And right now, our vaccination is just 3%.
Right.
Only our 3% of the total population is vaccinated. That means they have received their 2 doses. So imagine we have to reach the 85% herd immunity. Long, long way.
Kalyan, many hands are up, Kalyan. Many hands are up also. Yeah.
Sure. No, I'll just complete the next question from Siva, and after that I'll open the floor. Oximeter reading fluctuates sometimes. How do we measure it for consistency post taking food or taking something? I think basically the question is on what is the kind of no nail paint and all that kind of stuff.
No,
I guess
there is nothing. It doesn't. See, it's not this reading that it takes. What it takes is the reading from here. So if you see your oximeter, the light comes from down. So this part of it, we don't put any nail paint. So it's still going to take it. And if you keep shaking your hands, your oximeter reading is still going to change. So relax, rest, keep it on a stable platform and take the reading. The reading need not be like, one reading of 93 or 92 shouldn't panic. Or sometimes, when you just put the oximeter also, it starts at 83 and it just generally climbs up to 95 and it's normal. So you always take readings which are consistently below 95. If one finger is showing 94, please check in the other fingers also. Probably sometimes, cold hands also can cause low reading. So just rub your hand and recheck it.
So Mali, I'll just take one last question, and that's again linked to somebody who's put up in the chat box. So doctor, the one theory has been that in the first wave, a lot of senior citizens got impacted. The second wave, a lot of adults got impacted, and in the third wave, which is probably into the future, which is there, and I don't want to be doomsday and fourth and fifth wave. So it's going to probably look at children. So virus is also basically looking for target market, that target population which is there. So what's your take on that outlook? So
that is why in US, they have opened up the vaccination for above 12 years. So probably we are also looking at that soon, that our Covaxin vaccine, they have started their phase 2 trials on children above 2 years. Yes, it may affect the children in the coming years, but right now also the children are affected, and we do see mild cases in children, and the children were affected in the first wave also. Please understand, all these projected numbers are because of the increased number or per se. So if 1,000 people were affected in the last pandemic, we have 10,000 people affected in this pandemic, and it's the same across all age. So it's just that because of this proportion, we see a proportionately increased number in the adults. Not that, the adults in the sense, I mean, between the age group 20 to 40. Even the last pandemic, we did have 20 to 40 falling ill. But since the overall numbers were less, I think probably it went unnoticed.
Thank you, Doctor.
So I think GC, Chandar, Rajshekhar, Ramraj, 4 of them had questions. They saw 4 arms up. So
okay.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead, GC? I'll ask mine since I've had COVID.
Yeah, right. But yeah. Raj, please put on your video, please.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Raj. Really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I had my second shot on April 18th, and 8 days after that, I started developing COVID symptoms, and it became, the result came positive on the 28th of April. Now I've been on dosage. I have completed that 14 days course and everything. Is it okay if I start my fitness activities, gym, and so on? Because it's already 20 days since I.
Absolutely, sir. You can. I always tell my patients, see, in fact, there is a recent study which says people who were, athletic and doing their regular activity or like, they were walking and they had a good physical activity. The COVID was much milder in them than the people who were, sedentary lifestyle. So please resume your physical activity. I would say in a graded manner. Do not force yourself to do what you were doing 2 weeks back because you've already rested yourself. You may not go back to that level of physical activity. Do it in a graded manner and increase it. Okay, probably great. In a week's time, you will be doing what you did 3 weeks back.
Okay. So I haven't been posting this month in our app. So I think I'll start it now.
Sure.
Good luck. Good evening, doctor. This is Chandrasekhar.
Good evening.
I have one statement and then a question. The statement about yours saying death is so less in India. Let me tell you, it is statistics when it comes to public. It is a tragedy when it affects my family. So
Absolutely.
for me, one death is one too many. I had horrendous May when 6 of my people who died, including my brother. So we should not be massaging the headline. You need not go the other way, but it is important to recognize there is an evil side to this and we have to guard against that. It may sound very cynical, but this is a feeling which has come from within. So I know the trouble we went through. I know how much pain we took to bring my brother from Kumbakonam here, trying to search a hospital. Anyway, that is besides the point. That is, I wanted to make a statement because I heard this statement too often that is only 2 lakhs in India. One is too many. We have to protect more. Okay, that is fine. The question I have is, everybody tells me, be careful. My daughter calls me from USA, be careful. My son calls me, say, be careful. I don't go out. When I go out, I wear double mask. I wash my hands. I only go to buy medicines. When anybody comes to my house, I cover myself. Whatever comes out from grocery or anything, we keep it in the sun for 24 hours. Except washing the newspaper, I do everything. But what else I should be more careful with? I don't know the answer to the question. Can you give me an answer?
Very sorry first to know about your family. See, I didn't mean to say that the deaths are low. I just wanted to give that positive feeling that, yes, there are plenty of death, but let's not just project about the death and the rest of the people get into a panic mode. That is what I don't want people to get into. The minute you get into this panic mode, you are trying to find a bed for yourself in the hospital. If every person who gets positive, he has to search a bed for himself, then we need to be having beds 20 to 30 times what we have right now. So we do not need that. And what I mean to say is monitor your symptoms. Simple rest and fluids can do wonders. Don't run behind medicines which don't have any proven benefit. See, COVID has been such a changing, it's put even the medical fraternity into such a toss. We really do not know what we are doing. Okay, we are trying to help each other. That's it. Okay, and coming back to your question of how to keep myself protected. Right now, you've got vaccinated, you've had your COVID also. So I don't think there is anything better to do. And I would say just, social, double masking and social distancing is the only thing that is going to protect us from further exposures.
Thank you, doctor. Appreciate your comments.
So sorry, can I just ask and point you to add on this, what GC mentioned? I've already got COVID. Now I can go without mask and everything?
No, I just said the Peltzman effect. Even if you have COVID, even if you have vaccinated, please do not step out without the mask. We do not know there will be...
Are you saying I can get COVID again?
yes, the COVID is going to mutate. Probably we'll have one B1.618 or 1.6.9. We do not know. The virus has to survive. It's going to find a soil to grow. So it is going to mutate.
Chandar had a question.
Good evening, Doctor. What a wonderful presentation. Thank you for making it so clear for people like us. I'm at Coimbatore. I have taken 2 shots of my vaccine, and it's about 3 weeks since I took the second shot. My first question is 2 questions. One is, normally they say the antibodies develop after about 2 weeks. So I thought you could give me some light on what is the role of these antibodies, and does it really increase with time, and therefore we are much safer? That doesn't mean we discard all the the social distancing or wearing masks, etc. But how much we can be a little relaxed when we are taking a second dose of vaccine? Second one, if it is true that after the second shot you're much safer, why is it that somebody like the President of the United States is now saying US can be free of mask? Is that a little premature, or it is really they have reached the herd immunity? Thank you.
Yes, see, generally about the post-vaccination immunity, any vaccine, it's not about just COVID vaccine, any vaccine, we say it takes 2 weeks for the body to respond to the antigen and produce natural immunity to the antigen. So it takes 2 weeks for the vaccines to rise, the antibodies to rise. And most of these viral antibodies, what happens is that they wane over the months, they wane over a period. In fact, not just the viral vaccines, I would say, we do not know the concepts of adult vaccination. In this crowd, tell me how many of you would have taken a vaccine called pneumococcal vaccine? How many of us know about the influenza vaccine? If you go back to US, this is a problem in India, okay? But if you go back to the US, the influenza vaccine is mandatory during the October-November influenza season. They vaccinate the entire population over there. Everybody is vaccinated. That is how they prevented the flu, the commonly called H1N1, which you would have heard, swine flu. That is how it is prevented. Many of us don't realize as adults also you need vaccine, because over the years, your vaccine immunity wanes. And that is very typical even in the viral issue. Sorry, I'm not getting the word. Viral vaccines like COVID or influenza, your immunity is going to wane, and these viruses also mutate. Probably down the lane, you would require some boosters. That is one question. Your second question was, sorry.
President of the USA not wearing masks,
okay.
Which I think,
yes, which probably, I think, yes, they are reaching herd immunity, but it is too early to say don't wear the mask. You're seeing that Singapore did this. They blocked everything. They didn't have any air traffic. There were no outsiders entering their country. They vaccinated everybody and they opened schools. Now they are seeing a rise in their cases. So it is too early to say that, you can remove your masks. I wouldn't recommend.
So that's one question on the chat.
Antibodies having been developed, and now after the second vaccine, if you still get fever or any such symptoms, okay, definitely we shouldn't panic, you said. Any other precaution we have to take because of the various mutants we are talking about?
See, sir, right now what is said is that the mutants also, the antibodies will cover the mutants also. That is what the ICMR says. And if it is Covaxin, they are 100% sure that the mutants will be covered by a Covaxin dose. Don't worry if you have taken a Covishield. Covishield will also protect you. What the vaccine does is, it will prevent the severity. Probably you will not land in an ICU. That is what it will do. The natural immunity and the vaccine immunity is going to prevent a severe illness. And let's understand that COVID is not an infection. Like, many of us think it's an infection and we need antibodies. And then they were, if my prescription doesn't have an antibiotic, most of the patients look at me, what doctor? Are you really a doctor? There's no prescription of antibiotic. We misuse antibiotics so much. A sore throat means I need antibiotic. No, what COVID does is an inflammatory response in your body. It is totally different from an infection. So that is why, the use of steroids or Toci or remdesivir, whatever they were talking, it's nothing to act on the virus. It is basically to reduce the inflammatory response because of the virus. So as long as your immunity is good, you're eating healthy, I think you shouldn't worry about it too much.
Next question. KK, who? Anand.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. This is Ram.
Good evening.
Yeah. What about the treatment procedures for the patients who are in the hospitals? Are there successful treatments which have come, or are we just
unfortunately we're still in the era of trial and error. Let me admit to that. There are a lot of monoclonal antibodies, and there are basically drugs which are being used in the West, but in India, unfortunately, because of the cost and things, we do not have it. Right now, any patient landing in the hospital, the only thing that we give is steroids and low molecular weight heparin, because these were the only two things which came out of the first wave, saying that the steroids being used to suppress the inflammation, and COVID had the tendency to form blood clots. So we gave low molecular weight heparin to prevent blood clots. Otherwise, there is no fancy drug. There is no fancy treatment. All that we are trying is, to see if we suppress the inflammation. I admit that there is no one drug which will definitely say, yes, it's cleared the COVID. And no two patients will respond to the treatment in the similar way.
They're just adding again to the same thing. So does that mean that whomever is doomed will perish in spite of whatever medical treatment they are being given? And is the medical treatment at a huge, humongous cost is a waste of, it's a tough question, but yes.
It's a very tough question. It's a tough question. It's all about life, no, sir. We are trying to save somebody. So with all possible ways, we are trying to save a life. So it's too difficult to comment on that.
I believe Siddha medicine has a much better, performance.
I don't want to comment on it. I'm not a Siddha doctor.
Anand, KK, you had a question, KK.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, doctor.
Good evening.
Couple of things. One is on the testing itself. We have so much of ambiguity on which test is good, and the RT-PCR, a lot of wrong results. So, is there anything that you would suggest in addition to an RT-PCR?
KK sir follows the news very religiously. I know that. So he's up to date with what was there in Podigai or Sun TV yesterday. What happened with Medal was, it was a system error. It was a technical error. It was not the reporting error. So when you're doing some 4,000, 5,000 tests a day, when you have to load it on a system, there is, people are like so overworked. So they do have their records. None of them, all those tests were negative, and the test results were given as negative to the patient. Only what happened was the uploading, there was an error in the uploading, and it was, notified to ICMR, so that it is a technical error, not that this wrong positive report was given to patient. But nobody would believe, because media just sensationalizes any small message. And understand, an RT-PCR will pick up only 60. If you have true symptoms, it will only pick up in 60% of the population. The test will still miss 40%. And Mali will agree to that his RT-PCR was negative twice. So and if the viral load is too low, again, the RT-PCR is not going to pick up. So it's very difficult to just, comment on it saying that, the lab is giving a wrong report.
Not about the lab, but I'm just asking whether there are new ways of testing, like, you have kits.
He's asking any other ways of testing.
So right now, yes, I think today's Hindu was speaking about rapid antigen test, which will detect all kind of mutations as well. ICMR has not changed its testing guidelines. ICMR is the authority in India. So they have not come forward and saying that all tests to be done on the rapid antigen test. Still, right now, we feel that the RT-PCR is the gold standard. So probably, yes, the rapid antigen test is a quick test. Within 30 minutes, it's going to give you a result. See, the false negative, I would say, if the test is negative, it doesn't rule out a rapid antigen test. If it is negative and you still have symptoms, it doesn't rule out COVID if the test turns out to be negative. You still need to go ahead and do an RT-PCR. But if it is positive, if a rapid antigen test is positive, that saves time, because an RT-PCR result would come 4 to 5 hours later. Sometimes with the load that we are having, we take even two days for that report to come. So that's the only benefit of the rapid antigen test right now.
Anand, one last question, Mali. After you get cured of COVID, there are a lot of after effects. People talk about. My wife had consistent cough. People have joint pains. So, is there any kind of treatment or post-COVID rules to follow through?
See, it again depends upon what symptoms you have, and you have to address the symptom. Like I was saying, it's a inflammatory process, like rheumatoid arthritis. If you've heard about rheumatoid arthritis, it's an inflammatory process. So it goes on. So such patients would require some immunomodulatory drugs to keep their symptoms suppressed. Many people have cough, which I call it as post-viral bronchitis. Not just me, the medical fraternity calls as post-viral bronchitis. Any virus, when you have viral pneumonia, it is going to irritate your windpipes. So that irritation in the windpipes will persist for a very long time, even after your even after you've recovered from the virus. So for that, there is, we generally give them some inhalers to suppress that cough. And for joint pains, it is again some painkillers or something to keep it under stress. So you address that symptom.
Anand, you had a question, Anand. Then Srinivasan, I think, Ari had a question.
Good evening, doctor.
Good evening.
I have taken 2 doses of Pfizer vaccine. I'm planning to return to India in July. Now news is floating around saying Pfizer is less effective with respect to this double mutant seen in India. So what is your advice? We should have a second vaccine, or this is sufficient?
Right now, no repeat boosters. This vaccine will give you immunity. See, again, probably you joined little late. I repeatedly say that any vaccine, the efficacy of preventing death was 100%. If you move out without a mask, you can get it. People in US who have developed COVID right now are also because of B1.617, so which has reached the virus, which has reached the US. So it's going to be the same thing. You've come to India, the virus has gone to US. So anybody can develop COVID. Vaccine does not guarantee 100% protection against the virus, but it guarantees 100% protection against severity of the illness or prevention of death. You may develop mild COVID. If any further guidelines come regarding booster doses, probably you can take the booster dose.
Just one additional question to this, doctor. After the first dose and after the second dose, what is the difference in protection levels, doctor? That's all.
So after the first dose, the protection is anywhere between 80 to 90% that they say, and the second dose is above 94%.
Not for Pfizer, generally all vaccines. So
generally, this is the general.
If you have the first dose, you're protected to some extent, is what you're saying.
Some extent, yes.
Okay, thank you. Anand, Narsimhan, 2 people. Anand. Narsimhan can ask. Go ahead, Narsimhan. Sorry.
Doctor, what is your opinion about the new DRDO medication, which is supposed to be a game changer?
Again, sir, too early to say. They just did in some 300 or 400 patients. Let me tell you, I have treated 5,000 patients with just paracetamol, and all have done wonders.
Thank you.
This question on steaming, doctor. Does steaming help in COVID? Steaming.
If you have a nose block, yes, steaming will help you relieve your nose block. Not in
Not
killing
COVID.
the virus. No, not in killing the virus. Please.
As a matter of joke, they said you clear the passage for the COVID virus to go to the lungs directly.
Exactly. So people have been doing it for years together now, ever since that WhatsApp message came.
Yeah, but even about the DRDO, it's from the WhatsApp University, which said 45% have got rid of oxygen support. I think they should ban. I stopped, got rid of my WhatsApp group this week because I'm sick and tired.
My last slide, sir. Very true. We should stay away from social media. I don't think any number of all this projection that they show is required. If you know that you have symptoms, go to the doctor. The doctor will treat you.
Correct.
Anand, is it there? Not doctor, in terms of post-recovery, how long do you check your parameters still, doctor, basically, in terms of saturation and stuff like that? And
see, right now, the period of monitoring itself is only 10 days.
Okay.
In mild to moderate illness. So in that, usually the period 1st to the 5th day, people continue to have fever. So that's when I tell them just paracetamol and rest, plenty of fluids. Plenty of fluids means it includes even Tetra packs of juices, buttermilk, curd. I believe everybody knows Tamil over here. So I'll just use this. Tair sapalama, more sapalama. That's the first question. Ninja sali vandidum, citrus fruit sapalama. So this is the panic that people have. This is the misinformation that people have. It's fine, just have it. You don't get virus because of the fruits, or you don't get cold because of the fruits. It is going to give you some sort of energy. We just get drained out instead of having ORS and all kind of fancy kashayams. You can just have all these juices and fruits. It's going to give you that energy. I mean, what I mean to say is supplements with all zinc and vitamin C. Vitamin C is there in your citrus fruits. Just have them. So the next 5 days, 5th to the 10th day, is when people start dropping their saturation. So I always tell my patients that the 5th to the 10th day is when you need to monitor your symptoms. Many of them differ worse. That means their fever settles, but they start dropping their saturation. So that crucial period, you need to get admitted. So if you do a proper monitoring of your saturation and the 92, 93, if we act, probably that group will do well rather than a group which ends up in the hospital with a saturation of 78 and 79.
Post-recovery, you don't need to monitor all this, no, doctor?
Not required.
Doctor, one point I have is, after this COVID, the symptoms went away, I started very hungry, and I've been eating double my normal stuff for the last 15 days. Is that normal, or is it?
It is normal, no? Compensating for what you didn't eat in the last 5 days.
But 15 days, I'm still feeling hungry.
Okay.
Just check your BMI.
He stopped his exercises, so that is why.
Doctor, another question we have.
As a matter of fact, doctor, about these fruits, I went to IIT Thamrabarni to bring my sister-in-law who was convalescing there. The corporation worker was there. He was advising me, don't take fruits which are citric. Don't take orange. So I was wondering where he is also a member of the WhatsApp University, I think, or he got his doctorate from. So there are so many people. And besides that, I have a very serious question. I have a neighbor. She is 84 years old. She cannot walk on her own. She can go to the bathroom. She uses a walker. She has never traveled outside, but still she got COVID. I just want to know, where is the leak coming from? What is the source? We all keep the things which you get from outside away for 24 hours. Wash it if possible. Use what you call manjal. You use anything possible to wash your fruits, vegetables. wipe your Amazon orders with whatever Savlon. But where does this leakage of virus entry comes from?
See, to be politically correct and on the safer ground, I cut one of those slides where the WHO said that Indian transmission is still cluster-based. There is a difference between cluster-based and community transmission. US is into the community transmission. That means you do not know where the virus is coming from. And we need to accept that we are also in a community transmission right now. We really do not know. You cannot trace from where I got the virus. Probably, you know, somebody would have come for a fraction of a second to our house to, repair the AC, or like some maid came to pick up the garbage and she didn't wear the mask, and that's where she got it from. So it's very difficult to say that. And as I said, it's airborne. So it's not that, again, you know, you maintain that 6 feet, yes, you are safe enough. It is there in the air.
Yeah, that is why when you say people say careful, I'm wondering what careful is. There's a phobia now. People say don't stay in the balcony because it is airborne. So I was wondering, it's not a MiG-21 which flies all the way from that house to the balcony. You know,
it won't fly so much. See, it's mostly, it depends upon how the aerosols are being generated. I'm sure you all are technical people. You will understand about more of these aerosols and things like that. So aerosols are very fine particles. Probably if there is a lot of these aerosol generation, then probably it would have spread far, far away from some house and into your balcony. But most often these are heavy particles. They will settle down and die.
V. Shankar has a question. V. Shankar has a question.
Yeah, hi, doctor. So I have a question about the particular side effects of vaccination. I have taken 2 doses of Covishield, which is AstraZeneca. Now, after the first vaccination, I started developing an intense case of rheumatoid pain in my sacroiliac joint. I got it checked. I was told that I was genetically predisposed to it. But I am 60, so everybody said you should have got it long back. So my question is, I have been told that latent problems or diseases get exaggerated if you take a vaccine. So I was just thinking maybe the vaccination was the cause of sort of expressing the latent disease of whatever I had that became rheumatoid for me and the pain. Is that a possibility? Have you seen it somewhere?
No, sir. It's the first time I'm hearing. So let me be frank. There are no reported cases like that, latent infections or latent inflammatory problems would be worsened because of the COVID vaccine. Whatever reports have come regarding the AstraZeneca or the Covishield vaccine, it's that 5 in 10 lakh people can develop blood clots. But apart from that, I haven't heard of anything about, you know, worsening of an inflammatory process, which was pre-existing.
Okay, thank you.
Arumugam had a question.
Dr. Maling, I have one question. Doctor, thank you. Can it pass through the sewage connections?
So I was waiting for this answer. Again, the WhatsApp University says that in Delhi, there was a flat which had COVID patient.
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. See, the Hong Kong report is basically of the SARS, which happened earlier. And they postulated it to the SARS-CoV-2 now. And they just changed the WhatsApp message and said that in India, in Delhi, there was a flat which was there. And then the people below the flat got it. No, it doesn't aerosol. See, there is ways, I mean, people who have GI COVID, they do shed COVID viruses in the stools, but they don't survive. So they will not aerosolize from that and transmit to somebody who's 2 or 3 flats below the house. Sorry. No.
Arumugam had a question. Arumugam.
Yeah. Doctor, my question is, you say it is community spreading and cluster spreading. So suppose if I have a feeling that I got exposed to a person or somebody who is having COVID, then what is the precaution I should take?
What the precaution? Just stay home. Isolate yourself so that you don't spread it to somebody else and watch your symptoms. there is no medicines which will prevent you, or what we call as post-exposure prophylaxis, to prevent you getting from symptoms.
Okay. So to control
One-
that, we don't have any kind of
No.
medication or
No.
something.
No.
There's one more question, Doctor, from Anantaraman. Is it possible to have 2 different vaccines in 2 different doses?
Right now, no. The recommendation is if you have taken Covishield, you have to take the second dose of Covishield only. The only thing is, if you have taken Covishield in India and you happen to travel to UK, then you can take the AstraZeneca.
Mali, I have one
Joknet
question.
Joseph. Joknet Joseph had a question. Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, doctor. Thanks for the
Good
nice presentation.
Thank you,
My
sir.
question is regarding what is the probability of this virus spreading through the surface? Because we are all saying stay inside the house, but every day, day in and day out, we are handling items like this, such as newspaper from outside, which are foreign particles. Does it spread through the surface?
It
If at all,
doesn't.
what precaution we need to take?
It doesn't spread through surfaces or packets of food that you take. Those kind of spread is very, very, very minimum, or it is nil. So what happens is that if you have a close, if you have a COVID positive patient at home, then when they cough without a mask, it can lie on the surfaces. So it's direct close contact with somebody who has been positive.
How long does it last on surfaces, doctor?
So in those situations, I would say 3 to 4 hours. Beyond 3 to 4 hours, the virus will not survive. And what you can do when you are treating some, or when you have some COVID positive patients at home, is always clean the frequent touch areas with alcohol-based wipes or solutions. That is good enough. So simple Lysol will also clear the virus.
Hari has a question, Doctor. Hari and VR Chandar have a question. So 2 of them. Doctor, it's beyond 6 o'clock. You have a little more time, I hope.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, hi, ma'am.
As long as everybody is, leaves this meeting in a positive attitude and know how to handle it, I'm very happy.
That's wonderful of you.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. This is Hari from Tamil Nadu, Nagapattinam. Actually, the thing is, around a month back, I got positive on COVID.
Tell me, Hari. Yes, Hari,
Yeah.
we are listening. Yeah.
Yeah, so a month back, I got positive on COVID. So then again, I lost my smell, I lost my taste, and fever has come. I'm just 24. The thing is, I suffered in the night because I was not able to breathe and all. Then I have a lot of friends who is a doctor, so they suggested me to get the saturation pulse oximeter, so that I am just keep checking whether my oxygen level is going below than around 95 or something. So fortunately, it was not. So then again, slowly I got recovered now. But the thing is, I have given a retest also like around 4 days back. So I got negative. But the thing is, right now, still I was not able to get that smell back. The smelling sense is not completely came back. It has come, but not completely.
Hari, you're married?
No.
You're
I'm
not
single.
married? You're still eating your mom's food?
Yeah, actually.
Maybe you are just if you would have been married, I could have told you something else, but anyway, I can't comment on mother's food. This smell and taste will take a while for it to come back, Hari. So you just have to wait, but it will come back. So don't worry about that. So don't worry about it.
And one more thing is if I'm not eating on time, I'm getting a headache, and I was not able to be like before. I can't go outside in sun. When I go outside and the head started aching. So that
Hari,
problem is
we term this as post-viral asthenia, which is basically in Tamil solla ponana 10 ஆளு வந்து அடிச்சு போட்ட மாதிரி இருக்கு அந்த feeling இருக்கும். It will be there for a while.
100 பேர் அடிச்ச மாதிரி இருக்குது.
Yes, it will be there for a while. That is why I say plenty of fluids, sugar and salt is what is going to keep you hydrated. Instead of spending money on multivitamins, home cooked food, balanced diet is what you need at the moment.
Okay.
Chandar.
And one more thing, you spoke about repeat RT-PCR. Once your 10-day isolation period is over, please do not repeat your RT-PCR. RT-PCR should not be repeated. It is the PCR will not differentiate between a dead virus or a live viral material. It is going to amplify any genetic material that is going to be there in the throat. Right now, studies says that beyond 10 days, the virus cannot be cultured. So do not do a repeat test. It is going to cause more confusion and panic. So don't do it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Doctor, what is long haul symptom of COVID?
Anything that you have, loss of sleep, loss of hair, versus low grade fever, anything that lasts beyond 14 days.
Oh, okay. Chandar?
Yeah. My question you almost answered now. This is people who already have COVID, and nowadays, like you said, even doctors in the hospitals don't recommend a repeat RT-PCR test to discharge a patient. But how does one who has been affected really be satisfied that now is cured and therefore is RT-PCR will
clinical improvement, sir. Clinical improvement. You don't have fever for 72 hours. That is good enough to say that yes, you are on the road to recovery. Feeling of general well-being, better than what you were 10 days back. That's it.
And you are less of a risk to other people in terms of transmission of the virus?
Absolutely. I said that 10 days, beyond 10 days, the virus cannot be cultured. That is what the study says. And second thing, you are going to continue wearing your mask even when you step out to meet others. So, and the others are also going to wear their masks. So everybody is protected.
Thank you very much.
Ramamurthy Prasad had a question. Yeah.
I think his question is that what are the long-term effects of masking? There are so many theories posing. Are there any side effects of wearing a mask? There are so many stories, and in fact, I think Niti Aayog chairman also said you should start wearing masks at home, which obviously we in Tamil Nadu we'll do civil disobedience on it until it becomes law. But so the question really is, what are the side effects of masking?
As a medical student, I didn't want to take surgical branch or anesthesia because I didn't want to wear a mask and I used to feel claustrophobic. And that is why I picked up medicine. And imagine me right now wearing mask for almost 18 hours in a day. So that's life. At the moment, we have no other choice. There is no long-term effect of wearing a mask. What you're not supposed to do wearing a mask is going to the gym or running around, which generally, because of wearing a mask, you won't be able to take in a lot of oxygen. And I see a lot of YouTube videos about wearing mask and developing acne and things like that. I believe all this is temporary. Once we fight the COVID, I think we'll get back to
walking with a mask is okay, doctor.
Walking with mask is okay. But running with mask, I would say avoid. Cycling with mask, I would say avoid, because these are not activities that we've ever done with mask.
What do you say about wearing mask at home? Mr. Kalyan said that we will follow civil disobedience in Tamil Nadu. But do you have to wear when I am only alone with in my house or with my wife?
No.
So it's not civil disobedience, yeah?
No, absolutely not. But if your wife asks you, why you didn't go abdina, then you will have to wear the mask.
Otherwise, don't go near the fridge.
I had an ENT problem and I went to Capstone Clinic last week. And then I told the doctor, Major Ramakrishnan, that my voice is not being heard. He said, that's a problem that is happening in every family. And
my wife tells me to wear the mask only when she doesn't want to see my face.
That's what that for that.
Anand, you had a question, Anand. Anand.
So we can do last 5, Mali, in case somebody has.
Last 5, I don't know if they're okay. Manikandan. Manikandan, you can unmute and speak, no?
Manikandan asking whether it will come again.
We'll come for second time. We are already in the second time. So if it comes, it will come the third time.
Madam, will get COVID.
Second time COVID. Yes, you can get it. If you can get it.
Okay, ma'am.
If you don't wear mask and go, yes, you can get it. It is as simple as getting the vaccine and getting COVID. So you can get it.
Ask me about it.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Any other questions? Kalyan, you had any questions?
No, nothing much. I mean,
Thanks, doctor. It was a pleasure.
Mali teleconsulting.
Okay. No, we will talk offline.
We will take that offline. So Dr. Madhumita, thank you so much. I think it was a really wonderful session. And let me tell you, as a family, we are Capstone fans. We've been consulting with all of you. I mean, I have not consulted with you, but we have been taking the annual flu shot for the last 4 years, thanks to Capstone Clinic. And if you ask me, the critical 5 that I picked up is virus has a life of only 10 days. Why are human beings worried? We guys have a lifespan of 70 years. And there is a whole health community which is at work, which is making sure that all of us are staying away, steering clear of the virus. When in doubt, talk to your doctor. Make sure that at 93-94% and above saturation, stay at home, go for paracetamol, and like WhatsApp University says, apply Fevicol on your exterior part to stick yourself to the chair. So I think that's the other part which is there. Thank you so much. And there is a lot of life after Corona, which makes to say that it will take time, but people will recover over a point in time. It could take a few months to a few years. That's really what I picked up. Mali, anything you want to add?
Thank you so much, doctor, for your time. Okay, a lot of people requesting for your numbers. We'll see how to handle that. So I will pass on the information to you. The chat will be, recorded chat will be sent to you, doctor. Okay. Thanks.
She will
really useful.
She will give her Google Pay number so you can use it.
One more thing, doctor.
Let me brand ambassador that. I think Capstone Clinic is recently, last 5 years, it has come up in Nugambakka.
And Dr. Ramana Subramaniam of Capstone Clinic is advisory board of the government. And I think Dr. Madhumita was also involved in that exercise, is what I understand.
Absolutely.
Correct, doctor? Yeah.
Yes, he is a part of the expert committee right now.
Yeah. They are the 2 experts in Capstone Clinic. So thank you, doctor, so much. And thanks for your time. I think we spent 1 good hour asking questions. So thanks for that and answering those questions patiently. And I can tell you, I would say most of us feel less worried than we were before the session. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mali. That was
Excuse me, Dr. Madhumita.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is Sandeep Datta. Actually, I joined a bit late. I am from the batch of Mr. Krishna Kumar TK, 1988 batch, NIT TC. Okay, because I missed the beginning part of the presentation, is it possible to get the recorded version for the?
That is with us. We are recording it. Doctor is not recording it. Sandeep.
Sandeep, we will mail it to you. It will be in your batch WhatsApp group. And for the other people who are listening in, you can follow.
Shanti also had a question. Shanti, you had a question. Shanti Venkatraman had a question, isn't it? No.
Hello.
No. Okay, fine. As long as I get the
you will get it in your batch.
Really
you'll get it in your batch WhatsApp group. And for the people who want you can follow Capstone. The Capstone Clinic says at Insta. They are there on Insta and they put up a video almost every week. You can follow that. I've been following it for the last 1 year, and at least I go to bed being able to answer my wife's question. That's the most important thing, right?
Thank you, Dr. Madhumita. Really nice of you to take so much time. Awesome.
Thank you,
As
Mali.
I said, we're all less worried. Thank you. We're all less worried.
My only
nice.
reason for
Thanks for
doing
the time.
this, my only reason for doing this is to spread the positivity. Do not panic. The panic button should not be there. There is always medical help all over the place. Don't go into this panic mode. Be positive, not just the report, but in your thoughts as well. This too shall pass.
Awesome. Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks, Doctor.
Reassuring of you to say that, to hear that. I think a lot of comments on the chat box, which is very, very, people are very relieved, so to say. Thank you for all your reassuring words is what I would like to say, basically. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, doctor. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.